Hi, friends. Welcome you all back, my dear friends, to the second chapter of Volume 1 of Economic Survey. So, I hope you had good learnings from the chapter 1. I feel you organized the knowledge really well. Probably would have added points like, the uh, Oxford, policy response tracking and all that. That's fine, my dear friends. Okay. One or two points like that. But essentially, whatever I'm teaching to you, whatever we are learning in this interaction, should be adequate to attend to all the questions that you may be asked related to recent economic developments in your interview. If you can organize that knowledge well, what you're learning here, in fact, that is adequate for your mains, you create the graphs and all that yourself. Is that okay, my dear friends? And of course, prelims also, they should be good, my dear friends. Got that? Now I'm trying to. Okay. Now, let us start with the chapter 2. Chapter 2 says, does growth lead to debt sustainability in India? Yes, but not vice versa. That's how the chapter goes, my dear friends. Does growth lead to debt sustainability? Yes, but not vice versa. That is how it is. Okay. Now, what are we trying to know here? Let me simplify this to you, my dear friends. Does growth lead to debt sustainability? What do you understand by debt sustainability? Hmm? Debt sustainability is country's ability to fulfill its current and future debt payment obligations without getting into default or needing a very huge financial assistance. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friends? So what is debt sustainability? Country's ability to fulfill its current debt obligations and future debt obligations without the risk of getting into default, okay, or needing a disproportionately huge financial assistance, like the way we went knocking at the doors of IMF in 1991, my dear friends. Got that? No, I'm trying to. Is that okay? So, if you have, what is the chapter trying to tell us? If you have growth, will that automatically lead to debt sustainability? If you have growth, will it make the debt sustainable? Fair enough, my dear friends. Of course, yes. Common sense should inform us about it. Yes or no, my dear friends? At the same time, survey is saying, but not the reverse. Why it is saying not the reverse? Because in advanced economies, there is a strong belief which is backed by research, of course, my dear friends, which says the reverse is also true. Which means what? Fiscal austerity will also lead to growth. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friends? See, what we are saying, have growth so that you will become debt sustainable. What advanced economies believe is spend less so that automatically there will be growth. Are you connecting to what I'm talking about, my dear friends? Perfect? But what are we saying? In India's case, the reverse is not true. Are you understanding, my dear friends? The reverse is not true, maybe to India. That is what survey is trying to tell us. Why? Let us look into it at a deeper level, my dear friends. See, most of this, the paradigms like fiscal austerity can lead to growth is developed uh, after a lot of research, into the case of advanced economies, my dear friends. Got that? Now I'm trying to tell you. Which may not be entirely true for a developing economy or developing economies like India, my dear friends. Fair enough. Are you understanding? Now here there are two things. There is an important concept that survey introduces us to. It says IRGD. What do you mean by IRGD? Interest rate growth differential. Okay, this president of American Economic Association, Blanchard, he says, my dear friends, whenever the interest rate, okay, that you are paying on your debts is lesser than the rate of growth that your economy is experiencing, then you don't have to worry about debt sustainability. It will be automatically taken care of. Are you connecting to what I'm trying to tell you, my dear friends? Did you get that? See, the interest rate that you are paying on your loans, whatever external loans or domestic loans that you have borrowed as a government, if it is less than the growth rate that your economy as a whole is experiencing, then automatically there will be debt sustainability. Of course, guys, it's not just government, even the private sector debt. Got that? No, I'm trying to tell you. Yeah? Are you understanding, my dear friends? Interest rate growth differential. What is the difference between the rate of interest, average rate of interest on all your loans, and what is the economic growth rate? Got that? No, I'm trying to tell you. If the economic growth rate is less compared to interest rate, my dear friends, then definitely there is a case to worry. But if your growth rate is higher than the interest rate, then there is no case of worry and your debt sustainability will be taken care of. Got that? No, I'm trying. Perfect, my dear friends. Remember this concept, interest rate growth differential. Okay. Here, survey talks about this. It says you should go for, India should not worry too much about austerity. In times like pandemic, in times like crisis, survey argues India should not go for austerity measures like in advanced economies. Advanced economies do exactly this, my dear friends. At least that's what it is believed by the economists. Whenever there is crisis, they try to bring in austerity measures, spend less. Okay, when they spend less, automatically they feel they will have growth, which should not be the case with India. India has to go for counter-cyclical fiscal policy, my dear friends. Now, what do you understand by this counter-cyclical fiscal policy? Let me quickly help you understand that, my dear friends. See, you know very well there is business cycle, correct? Most conventional businesses, look at the words, look at the choice of words, most conventional businesses go through what you call as peak and slump. Perfect, my dear friends. This businesses experiencing peak and experiencing slump. Okay, what you call as business cycle. That is the cycle we talk about in the counter-cyclical fiscal policy. Got that? No, I'm trying to. This business cycle is a function of market forces. Perfect, my dear friends. So, see, I use the word most conventional businesses, which means what? Even when most businesses are doing at a peak and the economy as a whole is booming, there are some businesses which may not be doing well. When most conventional businesses are not doing well, they are at slump, there are still some conventional businesses that may be doing well. Are you connecting to what I'm talking about? That's why I use the word most conventional businesses. So economic boom or economic slump in macroeconomics is based on how most conventional businesses are doing. Why do I use the word most conventional businesses? Because this does not apply to unconventional businesses. For example, COVID pandemic, when most conventional businesses were finding it difficult to sustain, the mask industry boomed. Masks. Got that? No, I'm trying to tell you. The what is that? A sanitizer industry boomed. Fair enough, my dear friends. Are you understanding? So, this business cycle, whenever it is at peak of the most conventional businesses, the overall economic growth is also high. When most conventional businesses are not doing well, the economic slump is there, macroeconomically. Fair enough. So, what will generally governments do? If you observe, my dear friends, governments will want to spend more from the government's pocket and also reduce the tax when most businesses are not doing well. When the businesses are not doing well, governments, it's logic, no, common sense. Yeah, when the businesses are not doing well, it's important for you, going by Keynesian economics, to intervene in the favor of businesses. You need to spend on infrastructure and all that, kickstart the growth again, correct? So you spend more and you reduce the tax rates so that businesses are able to recover, and again the growth is on a positive spiral. And when the businesses are actually doing well, what you do? You spend less and you increase the taxes. Now, this fiscal policy, which is counter to the actual business cycle, is what you call as counter cyclical fiscal policy. Connecting to what I am talking about, my dear friends, counter cyclical fiscal policy. If the governments were spending more and reducing taxes when the businesses were doing well, and when the businesses are not doing well, if the government also used to reduce spending and increase taxes, like it is happening in the advanced, yeah, it's called pro-cyclical fiscal policy. Now, does pro-cyclical fiscal policy apply to India? Definitely no. Counter-cyclical fiscal policy applies to India because only if the government can borrow, spend and revive growth, it can have debt sustainability as well. Are you connecting to what I'm talking about, my dear friends? Fair enough. All of you, my dear friends. In fact, guys, just to arrive at the counter-cyclical fiscal policy, in my economy class, I give you the context. I start from what is a fiscal policy, what are the two major objectives of government that it tries to achieve through fiscal policy. If you get time, my dear friends, please go and watch my economy video so that you get this background. Okay, maybe here in the economic survey, we'll be getting too much into conventional economics, my dear friends. Fair enough. But so far, I think I have simplified it for you. Yes or no, my dear friends? Now, do you understand what the chapter is trying to tell you? The second chapter of economic survey, it's telling you as simple as this. Go for counter-cyclical fiscal policy, for which when you have to borrow, don't think twice. Borrow, spend, achieve growth. Only when you achieve growth will you have debt sustainability as well. Don't do like advanced economies, or at least what the economists who prescribe to advanced economies say. What should not be done? Don't think, hey, there is already crisis. Yeah, there are already no, there is not so much growth. And in times like this, I should go for fiscal austerity. I should spend less. I should not borrow. Government should not think like that. If the government thinks like that, it can never facilitate growth. And if it cannot facilitate growth, that debt sustainability is also getting jeopardized. Is that okay, my dear friends? Perfect. This is the essence of volume 1 for you. I hope you learnt a lot, my dear friends. Thank you so much. See you in chapter 3 of volume 1.